Now, as we know, the top players in the world are unbelievably long and straight, and it seems absolutely effortless, especially when you go and watch a tournament in person. It's amazing at how consistent their ball flight is. The reason why they're so long and so straight without much effort is because they're all getting very similar impact positions. They are having that decent, nice rotation, good amount of side bend coming into the shot. But one thing that happens that so many golfers overlook, and even coaches overlook, is what their right arm is doing. We'll notice pretty much every single top tour player, there'll be some exceptions of course, but the 95% will have this nice bent right arm. And this is so important for amateur golfers to get right. So if I'm keeping my right arm bent, coming into the golf ball, what does my body have to do to be able to get to that ball? It has to, one, continuously rotate. I have to continuously turn to be able to reach that ball. Also, what does my body have to do? It has to right side bend. That right shoulder has to drop down to the right hip to be able to get the club into the ground. So those two things we saw the top tour players possess, rotation with good right side bend, results in these ultra consistent shots. You can do that by just keeping that right arm bent. And you're going to see straight away, if I keep this right arm bent going through impact, so this is an 8-iron here for reference, we're going to have absolutely unbelievably straight and long shots without really putting too much effort in, because it forces your body into those top tour player positions. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you 3 drills to do in a routine that will get this into your golf swing. It's so hard just to do via thinking. That's why you need to do drills for it. But absolutely, a lot of you are thinking, okay, the right arm has to straighten. We do see the top tour players start to straighten their arm. Absolutely correct. But we're keeping the right arm bent prior impact, at impact, and just a little bit post impact. It's where that right arm stays bent to keep you in your posture, all these good movements, but then we do have that right arm straightened. Now, that move we don't need to think about. We don't need to think about that right arm straightening. It will just naturally happen as the swing uncoils itself. But we must absolutely not straighten that right arm early like a lot of you are trying to do. Now let's get into a little bit of depth of why you don't want to straighten that right arm early, because so many of you try to physically do this, and you need to know this to be able to get the right move into your golf swing. We can't overlook it. So there are 3 main things I see golfers, when they straighten their right arm, they suffer with in their swing. Now, number 1, when you straighten that right arm out, it becomes extremely easy to shank the golf ball. So let's say we're coming into impact and we're one of these golfers who are trying to punch the golf ball. It's a very common thing you hear, punching that ball. But if you start to extend and straighten that right arm early, you are pushing the club outside the ball line. So imagine we have a line going dead straight behind the ball, going down, let's say, with that target. So dead straight down from the target, going through the golf ball. If now I straighten that right arm early, you can see how the club is diverging outside of that line, that imaginary line we've got here. So what does that do? That exposes the hosel of the golf club. So that's our main thing. We will shank the golf ball. So 2, the second bad thing that can happen from this is actually your body trying to counteract that outward movement that it forces the club into, and that is coming out of posture, early extension. So the only way then I can get that club to hit the ball solidly with this straighten the right arm move is to back the upper body backwards. Because when I stand up and the upper body goes up and back, it pulls the hands in, which pulls the club more on the ball line then. So then you will most likely hit a more centered strike, but you'll be losing a ton of power because you'll be stopping that dynamic rotational move and you'll be losing that power. So that is one massive thing, and that leads into the 3rd thing, which this massively hurts your golf swing for. Because you're stalling out your rotation with having to stand up to make way for that right arm, make room for it, you're going to completely start to flip the golf club. If we stop our rotation going through the golf ball, we will lose control of that club face, hands and arms take over, you can very easily hit the ball left. So let me hit one here while I'm straightening that right arm out, and let's have a good little look. So, didn't shank that one because my body instinctively moved back. That ball went way left, way left. So, you can also see there, compared to the one before that I hit with the bent right arm, it's gone pretty much nowhere in comparison. That's a good, pretty much almost 30 yards of distance. So, let's have a look here. Let's look at the swing speed of these 2 swings. I'm going to do one with keeping the right arm bent, one without, so we're going to purely have the swing speed number come up here. Let's do one, so right arm staying bent, which we know it's going to keep me in my posture, keep me turning, nice right side bend. Let's have a go. Okay. And there we can see, if we just look at that club head speed, 91 miles an hour with an 8-iron. That's a pretty decent 8-iron speed, if you ask me. Okay, so I'm going to make the intent of this next swing the exact same in speed. Nothing's going to change. The only thing that's going to change is I'm going to straighten that right arm just before impact. So you can see it, the difference here is going to be shocking. So okay, same coil up, and we could see there just the one difference, and then we go 84. Or 85 you could say. So really there guys, big difference in club head speed. It's because I have to stall out that rotation, I have to straighten that right arm, I'm losing and dumping that speed early. And you can just see from the control from what we saw before also. So distance and control, that's what we want. So let's get into some drills here to be able to get this into your swing. So like we said before, we absolutely have to drill this movement, we have to train it, because it's so hard to be able to think something into your golf swing that's happening through impact. It's the fastest part of your golf swing. You need to do something that forces you into that position. So this is where these 3 drills, actually there are 4 drills, but one of them you can interchange if you like one more than the other. So let's get into the ones where you're not interchanging, that you have to do with the routine. So with any movement pattern, we want to nail it without a golf ball first, and preferably doing a drill that forces us to nail it. So this is the nunchuck drill. So this is a really good one for right arm movement in general. So you grab the club head, you flip the club to where the shaft is on the right hand side of your right forearm, and then you grip and hold on to the grip there with your left hand. Now we get up to the top of our swing, nice big backswing turn, and then we start to rotate in the downswing, and we just give this a little pull with the left hand on the grip. And then that little pull, you can see how the right arm's going to stay bent. You can't straighten that right arm there. And you just have a little rotation through. So just going through that impact area. If you're a golfer who struggles to get the right arm in front as well, you can see how good of a drill this is. Really stretches out the shoulder capsule as well. It's a really nice one. So brilliant one. That's what I'd recommend everyone to do to start off doing this, to get the feel. Don't feel like you can skip past it. You need to start on there first. So okay, that's the first one. Gets you feeling the movement, stretches out the shoulder as well. Next one, this is great to do into a net, and it is one arm swings. So for you to hit the ball successfully with just your right arm, so put your left behind your back, just your right arm, you're gonna have to keep that right arm bent to successfully swing and hit a ball fairly okay. Now, because you're hitting it with right arm only, you're not really gonna hit it all too far, but let's just keep that right arm bent, just make as good contact as you can. You have to keep the right arm bent to be able to do that. If I straighten that right arm, it's going to become incredibly different to be able to hit that golf ball. It becomes ridiculously difficult. So, nunchuck drill, then followed by a ton of these. Now, it's going to be, like we said, very hard to hit good golf shots doing it, which is fine. It's just giving you the movement, getting your body used to doing this. So you can see we're priming the body to do what we want. Now, here's some drills to do with some golf balls, which are more normal-ish type of swings. So, okay, drills. My first one that I'd recommend for anyone working on anything impact related is the preset impact drill. So this is where you get into an impact position, your desired impact position, and you swing from there. So if we get into a desired tour level impact, open up the hips as much as you can, open up the chest as much as you can. Weight is 90% on your left side, right shoulder as close as you can get it to right hip. So now you can see what's the right arm going to be here, bent of course. Now swing back and swing through, just a half swing to start off with. That's going to keep the right arm bent as we're swinging through the shot. Brilliant. Okay, so that's an absolute great one. I do this a ton in my own practice, and once you get comfortable with it, you can actually hit the ball really quite a good distance and really straight doing it. So, which I really, really like. So, brilliant drill to do. And there's one other drill you can interchange for this, and that's the pump drill. Now, a pump drill is ultimately we get to shaft parallel to the ground in the downswing. We have the right arm, of course, nicely bent. We have our hips a little bit open, chest fairly square onto the golf ball, just like we're in this delivery position in here in the downswing. Make sure the club head just a little bit behind the hands as well. Hands really in between yourself and the golf ball. So here we go. So we get to this position, we pump it a good few times, so really 2 or 3, and then we just swing up a little bit and swing through. Because we're getting into that position and we're repeating it, we're getting it just before impact, and then you can swing through and you're going to get into that same position and maintained through the golf ball. Again, a really good one to be able to train that structure. Now, when you're doing these ones, doesn't really matter how far you hit the golf ball because you're learning the movement pattern, especially with a pump drill. You just want to get yourself into position and really, really look at your golf swing when you're doing it. So make sure you're getting into that position, that right arm staying bent. It's gonna be really hard to do to start off with. If it's way too difficult to start off with, do it slower. There's so many things a lot of golfers will be seeing in their own golf swing. They'll be doing a specific drill for something. They're not quite getting it. They think they're doing the drill wrong. In reality, they're doing it too fast. It is the correct drill. Whatever drill it is you're doing, you just got to start doing it a little bit slower. So, okay, let's say I was that golfer, I was struggling. I'm going to really do the same thing with a pump and just swing back, swing through, like slow motion. And if you're getting that, build it up from there. So, really, really important. Follow that, but absolutely do not do too many normal swings. So too many normal swings, I'm meaning by that is too many swings where you're just trying to think of keeping that right arm bent. Like we said earlier in the video, that's not going to happen. You're not going to think this into your golf swing. Too many golfers out there, and I know that's you watching, you're trying to think things into your golf swing. You're wasting your time if you're trying to do that going through impact. You might be able to think something into your backswing. You're not going to be able to think something into your swing going through the golf ball. You need to train it. Let's say you have 100 golf balls that you're hitting at a driving range session. I wouldn't even want you hitting 25 swings thinking of just the movement. I want you hitting 95 or even 100 balls doing the drills. So absolutely, you have to do that and do that for months. It's not a quick fix. Impact takes a long time to get things into your golf swing. You also need your swing into a good place to be able to move through impact. There's a couple courses down there in the description. Ultimate Guide to Rotation is a brilliant one to understand how to get rotation into your golf swing, how to get your swing into the right place. Doing that with these drills is going to be absolutely brilliant. The knowledge is key for it. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.